Hello everybody, Cindy Greenway here, Editor-in-Chief at lawmarketing.com, and today we're continuing our conversation on lead conversion. We're meeting with Stephen Fairley here, who is the CEO of the Rainmaker Institute, and in the previous video, Stephen defined what a lead is and the importance of lead conversion for law firms here today. In this video, we're going to talk about the 5 stages of lead conversion. And Stephen, I know you have a lot to share with us, but I just want to make sure people are familiar with where to find you and who you are. As I mentioned, Stephen's the CEO of the Rainmaker Institute, the nation's largest law firm marketing company that specializes in marketing and conversion of leads for small law firms and for solo law firms as well. And Stephen offers the Rainmaker Retreat seminars that are offered all throughout the nation, and you can find out more about that at rainmakerretreat.com. And Stephen, I'm really excited to have you here because I know you really had us convinced, and I think attorneys convinced, that lead generation and lead conversion, lead conversion mostly, is what we need to focus on here for the new year. So tell us more about the 5 stages of lead conversion and how attorneys can apply this to the law firm.
Well, in the last video that we did, Cindy, and I appreciate you having me on lawmarketing.com. It's a great resource for a lot of attorneys all across the country, and it's becoming very, very well known for producing good quality content. So I'm really glad to be a part of this. So in the last video, we talked about 3 major areas that every single successful small to mid-sized law firm really focuses on: lead generation, lead conversion, and client retention. Lead generation is getting more leads into the top of the funnel. It is probably the second or third most expensive thing that law firms do, other than paying payroll and maybe their office space, depending on what part of the country that they're in. Lead generation is very expensive, and it's getting more expensive every single year. It'll cost law firms more this year to get the same amount of leads than it did last year because of increased competition, increased costs, increase in marketing. It's just really, really difficult to get those leads. The second area is lead conversion, which is what we're going to focus on here, is turning more prospects into paying clients or converting more browsers into buyers from your website. And there are 5 major stages of lead conversion. Most attorneys actually believe that they're good or very good at lead conversion. And as I mentioned in the last video, most of them are dead wrong because they don't really understand that there are 5 different stages of lead conversion. So let me kind of walk you through all 5 stages. And then if we have time, we're going to get into some tips of how you can actually increase your lead conversion at each and every stage. Stage number 1. And if you have a pen or something to write with, you might want to write this stuff down because it's really good information. Number 1 is the number of leads in the top of the funnel. You need to be able to track how many leads are coming into the top of the funnel. If you don't know what a lead is, and you say, well, of course I know what a lead is, you probably don't, because we're probably talking apples and oranges. You need to go back to the last video where I actually explained the 3 major parts of what a lead is. So the number of leads at the top of the funnel, you need to have someone who is, every single person who is answering the phone or answering emails or getting inquiries, to be able to track the number of leads that are coming into the top of the funnel. If you don't accurately track your number of leads, you will mess up all the rest of the stages because you'll be tracking numbers based on fallacious data. Number 2. The number of leads who turn into appointments. How many of those leads actually turn into appointments? Now, I know some of you don't really make physical appointments, but for those of you who do, then you need to track how many of those leads turn into appointments. For those of you who actually, you get a lead on the phone and you immediately turn it into a consultation right there, then that would be a little bit tricky. You'll need to define what that appointment is for your law firm. But I will tell you this, is that when you get a lead, the whole purpose of getting that lead is to get them in the door. Don't try to sell prospects over the phone. That's the biggest mistake that I see attorneys make. It is the single biggest waster of your time and of your resources. Why? Because you end up spending a lot of time with looky-loos and people who aren't qualified. You want to get that person in the door, because if you can get them in the door, you and I both know you will have a much, much higher chance of converting that person into a paying client or a retained client. So do everything you can do to get them off the phone and get them into the door. Don't try to sell them over the phone. That is a huge mistake, and I see attorneys make it all the time. So stage number 1, number of leads at the top of the funnel. Stage number 2, how many of those leads turn into appointments? Stage number 3, how many of those appointments actually show up? Look, if you set appointments and you don't have them showing up, then you're going to be wasting your time sitting there twiddling your thumbs, right? So you need, once you get the appointment set, do everything you can do to get them to show up. Number 4 is how many people sign up at the initial consultation. Not how many people go home and think about it, not how many people say, well, I got to, go ask my significant other or ask my boss or my spouse or whoever it is, but how many people sign up at the initial consultation before they walk out the door. Number 5 is how many of them sign up later on down the road. You can't convince them to sign up right then, and so you can convince them later on down the road. Those are the 5 major stages. Now, I know we don't have enough time in this video. I think we've already run out of time to go into some tips on how to actually increase your lead conversion, but I'm going to give that to you the very next video. So make sure you stay tuned, and we'll get back to that right next. But I'm telling you, lead conversion, it is the single most effective tool you have to doubling your revenues this year. And most of you could do it, believe it or not, in the next 3 to 6 months. You could be on your way to a record-breaking year if you pay attention to lead conversion.
Right. Well, Stephen, once again, really, really great information. And I love how it's very sort of systematized. It really makes us realize the importance of the tracking and making sure that we're following through and so on. So I know we're going to share some more tips in the next video here. We've got a string of videos here to share with everybody on lead conversion. And again, I thank you for joining us, and we're going to talk to you again real soon.